Hey everyone, it's Jamie from Independent Street Tarot and Seasons and Ritual, and I'm here with my good friend Helen, the Crimson Cadaverous,
Hello.
and we are in Eclipse Week. It's Eclipse
Yep,
month, and here we are in Eclipse Week, our first eclipse.
yep, we're here. And I feel like we're already kind of feeling, this very intense magical energy. I know
I
I
agree.
am.
I agree. I think so too. We always say you can feel these full moons and new moons, so when it's eclipse, you you can already feel them.
Right. Pretty much, I feel like once we hit that Aries full moon, we were feeling it.
It was on. Okay, so Monday the 9th. Now, this is what's funny about October. It's only Monday the 9th, but I feel like it should be like Monday the 337th. I don't know.
Yeah,
It's
it's
been
already
very
been a
weird.
while. Yes.
Okay, so Monday the 9th, the moon will be in Leo.
Yes. And I feel like the big story on that day is the moon squaring Uranus,
Hmm.
which, obviously Uranus brings about sudden change. Things come in quickly, um, awakenings, like revelations. I feel like when we see a square, it's almost like challenging us to do things differently, accept change, go with the kind of crazy things that are coming through. And it's almost like kind of like taking the leap energy, especially with like Leo being like courage, moon
Oh
in
yeah.
Leo, and then squaring Uranus is like, do it.
And squares are how many degrees?
Uh, 90 degrees.
9 degrees. Okay, yeah. So Monday, you guys just look out for things, right? And then see if you have the courage to go through with something,
Mm-hmm.
if you're asking for change, especially on this eclipse week.
Yeah, it's kind of like challenging us. Like if we've been saying we want things to change, where it's like, all right, well, what are you gonna do? I
Okay, Tuesday, the moon will be in Leo the first half of the day.
Yes, which is really fun. Fiery energy to work with going into a very intense day. A lot of things going on that day. I feel like the main story is the moon forming a conjunction with Venus
Hmm.
and then opposing Saturn. And then we also have Pluto stationing direct on that day in Capricorn.
Yep, and
So
that's
this is very like I was saying, it was like volcanic energy, where it's like the Earth energy with the Virgo moon will move into Virgo, and then also Pluto in Capricorn. But then we also have the moon starting off in Leo, that fire energy just kind of rising up from the Earth.
and that is also the Tintin portal.
Yes,
And so it's important, you guys, like when these things start to change or and start to move, sometimes we don't feel great.
right.
Sometimes we might feel a little depressed, okay, or a little unsure.
Yes,
And that's okay. That's okay. I know a lot of times, like you and I are talking about, oh, well, new energy comes in. And sometimes my friends are like, what the hell, Jamie? Like, I thought that was supposed to be a great day. So
right.
the thing is, when this energy comes in, just notice how you feel. Okay. It doesn't mean that good energy is not there, but it just also means the way when we're confronted with things, sometimes we're not just always like, oh, okay, yeah, great.
Yeah, exactly. And this is again like a lot of energy on that day. Like Pluto stationing direct is already a lot.
Hmm.
We always say like when the big planets station direct, the like day around it, you want to kind of just, be patient with it,
Yeah.
let energy kind of play out.
Yeah.
Um, but also like again, the moon's like going to be conjunct Juno, Venus, and Lilith. Super powerful, like feminine energy, fiery, feminine energy. It is a lot, and then opposite Saturn structures, foundations. So we might be kind of breaking those things apart on that day.
Right. Especially with Venus also opposing Saturn that day.
Right. So it's like, letting go of structures that we don't really value.
Right. So if you feel kind of bummed out, it's okay because the next day you're going to feel much better.
Yes, agreed.
And also if you feel great that day, then also work with that too. But the idea is it's not setting the tone for the rest of the year, right? Just because if you feel bummed out when Pluto's stationing direct doesn't mean the last of the year is going to be awful for you. And
Right.
same if it's just notice on that day how the energy feels, especially because my main thing is that Venus opposing Saturn. Um,
Mm-hmm.
sometimes that can bring up just bummer energy, quite honestly, because
Mhm.
Venus is here to rise. Venus knows her self-worth. And sometimes when you see those old structures that are falling, you've got to say, okay, that bums me out, but where I want to go is this. And that
Mhm.
Saturn, though, is going to make it stable. So the
Right.
idea, I guess I would say, is to see through the illusion on that day for sure. If something comes up and you're like, just see through that illusion and know that that new energy is here and that it is time to make these new foundations, especially with
Yeah.
Pluto turning direct.
Yes, exactly.
Okay, Wednesday, the moon will be in Virgo, and this is another big day. We always say,
I know.
Someone texted me, she's like, guess what? It's a big week.
Yes, and it's interesting because we just had Pluto station direct the day before,
Mhm.
and then Pluto's home sign, Scorpio, is where Mars enters on
Right.
Wednesday.
Which is, I think, a great energy to be following that Venus opposing Saturn.
Yes,
Because if something comes up in the beginning of the day where it kind of bums you out, and then you're like, no, fuck this.
we have the power to transform it.
Right.
Yep.
Like, I know I can do this. I know I can do that. And then the next day, Mars is entering Scorpio,
Hmm.
just like a cock punch to the patriarchy.
Yep. Exactly.
Ready to go.
Hmm.
Hmm.
Yeah, I really like that. And with the moon in Virgo, I feel like we have this like grounded energy within ourselves to, kind of fight whatever the thing is we need to fight for that day.
Yeah. And you and I were talking about like Mars entering Scorpio to me is more of a beautiful energy. I think the old patriarchal story would be a different story about Mars entering Scorpio. I do see Mars entering Scorpio as getting self-worth and self-power.
Yeah.
Um, but I also, because I see Mars as more of a spiritual warrior,
Hmm.
going to the underground, going to Scorpio. Scorpio is still feelings because it is still water. It's fixed water.
Yeah.
And Mars is better in feelings now. I feel like Mars is better in water. So I feel like this is a good energy to be taking with us, especially since Pluto is stationing direct and turning direct.
I agree. And I feel like, Mars and Scorpio is kind of like our hidden powers, like discovering our hidden powers, because
Mhm.
it's like Pluto, the energy of Scorpio already is kind of like, the things that we discover about ourselves when we accept challenges and like, embrace our full selves.
Yeah.
So Mars is our power planet. And it's like, all right, what are the things that maybe we've even been hiding from ourselves that we're good at that,
Mhm.
would make us more powerful if we embrace them?
Right. And also like you were saying, like Mars is well, we both see it as that divine masculine, right? And like remembering what it, like remembering like, no, I can do this. Like I can move this through. Like
Exactly.
um I have it within me. And I just want to say this to people that might not have followed astrology for a long time. Before, with Mars entering Scorpio, I feel like the story would be a lot about sex and hidden desires and
I kind of forget about all that, honestly, because I just don't read it like that
I
anymore.
know, I do too. And because I feel like I mean, those storylines of course can still be there, right? At the same time, like you and I were talking off camera about how these myths are changing. I do see Mars more as like moving forward. And I
Yeah,
mean, you can be passionate about it. You can be passionate about uncovering these hidden things in yourself that maybe you forgot. But I was talking to someone the other day and it was all about like my Pluto and Scorpio, and they were like, "Oh, Jamie, this is," and I was like, okay, like,
no,
yeah.
I feel like that's a really good energy. Like, I
You
like it.
Yeah. And if you get lucky, you get lucky. Go for it. I ain't gonna stop that
Yeah.
either. Okay. Thursday, Moon and Virgo. Kind of a
Yeah.
quiet day. Kind of a
Yeah, kind
quiet
of
day.
quite a day, but mainly we've got the moon in Virgo trining Uranus and Taurus and Pluto in Capricorn, kind of grand Earth trine-ish.
Mm-hmm.
To like in between this Mars entering Scorpio and then like the upcoming eclipse,
Mm-hmm.
it speaks almost like kind of ground ourselves, ground ourselves in the changes and transformations we've gone through.
Mm-hmm. I like that. Okay, Friday, the moon will move into Libra.
Yes, and it's Friday the 13th, which I think is a fun day.
Mhm.
And it's a great day to me to have right before the lunar eclipse or the solar eclipse. I think that's interesting, like a great way to just kind of end the lunar cycle. It's Friday the 13th.
Mhm.
And we've got Mars trining Saturn on that date, which I really like because to me, that's like all these like old structures that are kind of falling. It's like we have the power to really just let them go. Mars and Saturn are both in water signs, letting things just kind of flow away, letting the emotions go, no longer feeling attached to old foundations and structures.
Yeah, you can wave at it as it floats along
Yeah,
as it goes
exactly.
away.
Just be like, yep, that was an old structure we had before. It worked. Doesn't anymore.
Yeah.
It's not making us feel powerful anymore. We can let it go.
And you guys just be aware of that. Like be aware, like a lot of things are changing and we say this all the time. People in power don't want things to change necessarily. Um,
Yeah.
but I mean the energy is here. So
I think it's going to change whether they
right.
want to. It is changing. It
It is
already has kind
changing.
of
Yeah.
changed.
Okay, Saturday is the eclipse.
Yes, which I think it's a great thing. We already talked about, we're going to both talk about the eclipse more on our own levels,
Yeah.
but it's definitely a really important eclipse because it is a ring of fire eclipse. So it's a solar eclipse. So that basically means when the sun and the moon are, in their new moon status conjunct, but also close to the north node or the south node. In this case, it's the south node. So south node is what we're releasing.
Yeah, it's still long.
Yes. And also conjunction with Mercury at the same time. So that's the old mindsets and paradigms and ways of communicating things that we're releasing. That's what we're beginning to do with this solar eclipse because the solar eclipse is the beginning.
Hmm. Right.
It's like
That's
we're laying down a foundation for letting go of some really old paradigms that no longer serve us.
yeah. So if you guys can take that into that day, be sure to watch it. I love watching all this shit. I watch it on the NASA channel. It's
Yes.
gonna be in Texas. But I love all
Yes,
that
we
stuff.
should be able to watch that safely. Obviously, wear your glasses. Don't do it like certain
Ex-presidents
done. Yeah.
just staring at it.
Yeah. But also it's interesting because we talk about, leaving things behind.
Mhm.
This new moon solar eclipse is opposite Chiron, the North Node, and Eris. So leaving behind old wounds, leaving behind anything that's kind of been, disrupting our path forward.
Anything that hasn't allowed us, anything that we've taken that hasn't allowed us to show up as our authentic self, as the
Yeah.
me, our authentic me.
Yep. And if it's a ring of fire, it's almost like a challenge, asking us to like take a leap, trust the universe.
Trust the universe. I'm ready. I keep trying to hand things over all the time.
Yeah.
In my mind, I feel like I'm doing it.
Hmm. I
We'll
think
see.
you are.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay, Sunday. How do we end this giant week on Sunday?
With a Pluto bang, of course, Pluto Mars bang, because we've got the moon in Libra squaring Pluto. So, like challenging us to leave the old things behind,
Mm-hmm.
and ourselves transform. And then also the moon moves into Scorpio, which is Pluto ruled, and
Mm-hmm.
then forms a conjunction with Mars, who has newly been in Scorpio. So a lot of Pluto energy. Pluto is transformation. Pluto is diving to the depths and like kind of unearthing the things about ourselves that we were unaware of.
Mm-hmm.
To me, like to end out like this, beginning of eclipse season, so to speak, with that is like, all right, we always remember that even when we're beginning, we're ending. So it's
Mm-hmm.
like, what are we letting go of so that we can begin anew?
Yeah. And I think that's really important for us because, in this day and age, we really, really want to see what's beginning, like we don't want to let it end until we say, okay, well, then I know this is happening.
Yeah.
And it's important, especially with like this. eclipse and these new moons, that's that time where it's teaching us how to trust going into that void. And we don't know exactly, but we trust, like there's that free fall and then it's
Mhm.
okay. And so if we can just get used to this idea of free fall, if we can get used to the idea of being a little uncomfortable, if we can get used to this idea that we just know everything's moving in the right direction,
Yeah.
I guess it's trust.
Yeah.
I guess it's trust. Then that helps us go through with that. And I also, again, with Mars being forward and movement in this, I think it's like trying to start seeing, trusting that this divine masculine energy is moving in to make things easier, right? Make things, I don't know if easier is right, make things easier for the divine feminine, I would say, but um allow us like to say that you're full, you got both sides in you that are moving forward to help move things forward. Like it's within us. It's within us. Does that make sense? Is that making sense what I'm trying to say about?
Yeah, we do have, again, especially with Mars right there, we do have the power to move forward.
Mm-hmm. And you were saying too, like Mars is moving in all these planets before. Mars is a
Yes,
person
so
that's
Mars is the personal planet moving into each sign first. So
mm-hmm.
he's moving into Scorpio, and then the sun will move there, and then Mercury will move there, and then Venus will move there. So it's like he's almost being, like you said before, the spiritual warrior who's going first, who's like cutting away at things from the path, like making sure that, whatever's in the way that might be dangerous, like he takes care of it. So everybody behind him is taken care of. And I
Right.
think that's more matured masculine energy to be like, I have this, power to do this, so I will
Right.
do that.
And I agree with that 100%. And it's important to see that we have that mature masculine energy within us, no matter what our chromosomes are, right? No
Oh,
matter how we present. We all have this divine masculine, divine feminine energy within us. So it is like this beautiful way of saying, like, we see Mars going into Scorpio, we see Mars going into the underworld, but what does that mean now? Like before, it's like the old stories where we're saying we're getting rid of those old paradigms and going to these new stories. So if we see it as this divine masculine clearing the way for the rest of us, so that's what we want. We do want that. All of us wants that, no matter what. um and so if we start focusing our energy into that, like we're taking on these challenges, we're taking on this, what do we call it, the hero's journey
yes,
that we're all
exactly.
on, and it's a
Mars
good
is one
feeling.
portion of that journey.
Yes. Okay. So, all right, you guys, I guess we'll leave it here. Is there anything else you want to say? You'll do some more eclipse work.
Yep, and it's just going to be a really big week, but we always say that.
I
So,
know.
yeah.
We're gonna get mugs. Let's get mugs because we're always drinking our coffee and stuff, our tea. Yeah. Okay, you guys, if you have any questions or comments, just list them below. You can get in touch with Helen and I if you would like an astrology reading or tarot reading. You can get in touch with her on her Instagram or her YouTube channel. Same with me. And then I also have some websites. Till then, if anything else crazy happens, we will hop on the old channel. I'll do my midweek check-in and all those things as well. So it's good. Thank you, Helen, for all your words of wisdom.
Yes.
I appreciate you.
I appreciate you.
Okay, we'll see you guys next week.
Bye.